let's open the September board meeting, West Lakeland Town Board. And the first item on the agenda will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Let's see, the first item on the agenda then after that will be the approval of the minutes of our last monthly town board meeting. I could only really I only spotted one typo, and that was the very first paragraph there, last line in the first paragraph. It says intended to use as a batting case, and I think it should be cage, maybe, possibly. Other than that, I don't have any corrections to the draft minutes. Anybody else? Hearing none, I'll move for adoption of those draft minutes as our official minutes of that August meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Okay, so we adopt those minutes. All right. I hope everything is non-controversial, all that we do. Next, it's time for the treasurer's report. Arsha.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the month of August.
Is your mic on? Probably.
Oh, I thought I just turned it on.
Okay.
Did I not?
All right.
Do you guys hear me? No? In the month of August, the town reported $65,000 was for insurance settlement for the sign repair, $9,200 for building permits, $240 for utility permits, $17 for data $8,500 in payroll, $3,000 for driveway escrow return, $5,000 for pool escrow return, $3,900 for the remainder of the audit, $11,183 for construction and material testing, $3,200 for Jam Architects, $3,400 for Mavic Insurance, $11,909 to Miller for sweeping, $3,779 for legal, $751,491 payment number 3 for O1G and our road project, $25,000 for tax bond attorney, $7,900 for building inspections, $7,100 for bringing the total current assets to $7,150,000. We have 4 CDs that are coming due. 3 of them to find out what
All right, thank you. I will move adoption and acceptance of the treasurer's report and payment of the bills. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Oh, wait, we hadn't made a roll call though. Yeah, because we're paying bills.
Chairman Moosberger,
Aye.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Supervisor Buelow.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Marcia. Did you already talk about, or did you want to talk about the paying agent services agreement?
That is a amount that we're going to be paying on a yearly basis for all 15 years of the bond. So that is the money that
So they do the bookkeeping, they distribute this to the bond holders. Right? And is that an agreement, we've already entered into that agreement, right? Okay. Okay, is there any action required on our part at this point? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Next item on the agenda would be the Amrise Midwest Inc. Proposal. Somebody here to speak to that? You are, okay, sure. Why don't you, state your name and address for the record and
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thanks for your time tonight. Again, my name is Tom Schmidt. I'm the general manager of Amrise. And I'm back here again to talk to you guys about operating potentially up to 24 hours a day at our Larson operation. If you recall, last time I was here, we discussed the need for these materials, and the demand locally here at this particular facility continues to grow. We can't meet market demands only running the extraction portion of the process in the allotted hours we have. So we wanted to explore the option of running more. And so we kind of discussed this last time I was here, and I want to remind everyone that we're asking for these hours for the extraction process only, which takes place in your township. We're not looking for a change to the Lakeland permit, and we're definitely not looking at a change in trucking hours or the routes that trucks are taking. So I want to be very clear there. Nothing changes there. We're looking at the extraction portion of the operation. So what we've done since the last meeting to now, I've provided the members of the board here with a package that shows some of the language and some of the arrangements we have with other RGUs where we're doing this work running 24/7. It was in Cottage Grove and the city of Empire. So they wrote some letters for us. And then I've drafted a plan on how we can approach this and kind of provide some data and gain some comfort with this before we try and go live. And so now I guess I'm looking for feedback from the board here if this is something we think we want to try, or if you have any questions for me.
well, let's see, I guess I have a couple questions. You mentioned trucking hours, and that's not affected by that. Are trucking hours delineated by ACUP either with us or with the county right now? Or is there some delineation around that?
Yes, they would be, my Patty is not here. She's got the details for me. They're either, I think they're probably under Lakeland's permit, but we definitely have our trucking hours prescribed, and we can't go outside of those.
And do you know what those are offhand?
I would guess 8 to 4, but I don't have that in front of me here. 7 to 4? 7 to 4, we think. I can get back to you with that if we want a definitive there.
All right. The other thing I'm wondering if you have some, analysis or thoughts on, as I understand it, you're saying you're doing a 24/7 type operation in a couple of municipalities.
Yeah. We have 20, it says 24/7 on the bullet point here, and we're not looking to run Sundays, so it would be 24/6 at the most.
Yeah, 24. But I mean,
clarify that,
so the towns you spoke of, City of Empire and then Cottage Grove. So where are these pits in those communities? Are they near residential areas like we have here in West Lakeland, or are they sequestered far away from residential areas?
Admittedly, the Cottage Grove facility is kind of on its own to some degree there on Lower Gray Cloud Island, but certainly our operations in Empire are surrounded by neighbors. But that's the other thing with the approach we're taking here. We're kind of not. I'm not asking for approval just as is. We've got the opportunity here to visit the site, see the operations, do some scouting on sounds and things that are coming from this before we move forward, and that would be directly in relation to what's going on in the community here.
I guess another question I have is, to compare apples and apples, you presented some information from these other two cities where you're doing this, basically saying it's going fine for them. But what I'm wondering is, to compare apples and apples, I mean, lots of information, I guess, like what is the volume of extraction there in those two towns versus what you propose here? Do you propose any limits on that, on the volume of extraction that you do if you get permission to go 24/6? And I guess I'm kind of also curious to know, I mean, you say it's 24/6, but I mean, there's bound to be fluctuations in the level of activity depending on demand, or is it just a constant same level of activity all the time?
Oh, so all right. So a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
I would say the Empire operation, our Empire operations in Southern Dakota County taking place in the city of Empire are closer to what would be taking place in your community with equipment and things. So volumes might be slightly different, but it's a similar equipment. It's wheel loaders with white noise backup alarms. It's hydraulic grizzly feeders, and it's conveyor belts. So the equipment is very, very similar to the Empire operation, to what we run in your township. So that's one question. You know, we're seeking these hours. I don't anticipate we're going to start on Monday morning and we're going to run until Sunday night, you know, but we're looking for that flexibility to go when demand is high, or when we're falling behind with weather or other reasons, mechanical failures and things like that. We have the ability to flex to these hours and make those demands, those sales demands. There's a lot of questions there, Brett.
Yeah, mainly about, you know, sort of the volume and you know, how do we compare apples and apples? But because I think what you're proposing is you have some kind of a like a pilot project or a trial period where you run this operation, you know, 24 hours, and then you want to sit back and see if there are any complaints about it. But I mean, you know, it could be run at a fairly low level compared to what maybe comes later, you know, after the approval comes through. That's kind of what I'm getting at. It's hard to tell. I think it would be kind of hard to assess and to evaluate based on a, you know, few week trial period, what it's really going to be like over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Yes, you see what I'm saying? Because there could be tremendous variability in the volume of the operation and the intensity of it and everything else. So that's kind of a concern. I don't know what the answer is, but that's a concern that I have about your proposal to, you know, to have a trial period. How can we be assured that this trial period is representative of what is to come?
Yeah.
Once
So
the floodgates are open,
yeah,
so to speak.
I think the letters from the other townships are more important for you guys to have. I agree with you. Every setup is different, and where neighbors are and which way the wind's blowing, and million variables. But what those letters do highlight is that we communicate with the in the communities we operate in, and we're responsible actors, and we're reactive to questions, comments, concerns. And I hope that's what you get out of those letters, and that's how we plan to operate here. I said this last time, I'm not looking for you guys to stamp okay and then we never visit this again. I mean, you can put conditions and things. We can have an annual renewal where we look at complaints from the previous year, and we sit down together in January or whatever, and we look at how the last year went and just make decisions on the upcoming year. So there's stop points there where we can check along the way, versus you just, when you say yes once, we've got 15 years to do whatever we want. That's not my intent.
I don't want to monopolize the questions here. I want to let some of the other board members chime in if you've got some questions or.
You want to review what the trial period you're proposing, just briefly?
Yes. So I'd like to do it in October, just because that's for sure weather will behave and we can get conditions that are going to be like typically what we're doing. I've got it in as 2 1-week intervals, and the reason I did it that way, anything's possible. I thought we'd run for a week, check in. If there's something that's not right, we'd have the opportunity to make some adjustments, do some things, and then try another week. If things are going fine after 1 week, maybe we just keep going, but it gives us the opportunity to run, get some feedback, possibly make changes if needed, and then run again. And I think it gives us, you know, a span of time with winds and weather and different things, and kind of spreads it out a little bit so we can get a flavor for what this would be like.
And you have you can temporarily run past your hours right now on a temporary basis, right?
Yep.
How often have you exercised that?
I don't know if we've come in here and asked for that a whole lot. We talked about this last time as well a little bit. Looking for some business certainty to know that next year we would have these hours approved, provided we don't have complaints, so we can plan on staffing, hours of running, equipment sizing, all those different things, where a 2-week shot at a time is unpredictable, and it's probably not going to be enough to get us the whole season.
Yeah. And what part of so I guess, I don't know, was there a map in the packet, or what part of the pit because you're you're mining right now on the east side, and then our residents live on the west side. So in theory, like the more you're extracting, the closer you're getting to residents, right?
Yes.
So what's the timeline on, I don't know, we'd have to consider that. Because what might not be disruptive right now, eventually might be.
That's so two things with that. An annual review or a certain period of review gives you some ability to manage that if things change. And then the nice thing is we're starting far away and we're slowly moving forward. So if things start coming up, we can deal with them then, or we'll make changes as needed. But you know, it's a slow progression as we go.
How long is the life? Do you have any idea on the life of your mining operation here of extraction? Like how many years? I know some of the other pits are 5 to 8.
Yeah, I would say we're somewhere in that 5 to 10 years, depending on market conditions and what we do and geology and things like that. Yeah.
So in theory, if you went faster now, you would be out of here sooner.
the-
No
the-
offense. I mean,
The long, I mean that is a thing. The faster we go, the faster we're done.
Yeah, and kind of to put some of Rachel's questions or comments into context, it looked to me on a map as though your current mining operation occupies a pretty relatively small fraction of the property that you have. It goes right up to Stagecoach, and so I assume it would be mining up to Stagecoach.
We gradually move in that direction. Yep.
And also to Rachel's point that you currently do have the ability in your CUP to request on an ad hoc basis extended hours. And as far as I know, we really haven't denied many of those requests for other gravel, mining operations that have requested it when they have a need for it. This business is, I assume, you know way more than I do about it, but I assume it's kind of undulant. It goes up and down depending on demand,
Yep.
depending on projects and so forth. And
Interest
so,
rates and everything.
sure, lots of factors that impact, when you have a lot of demand versus when you have periods where there isn't so much demand. So, to me, I kind of feel like, we have some control now over this, and we'd have very little control over it if we just gave carte blanche. Once again, as far as I know, I don't think we've been very stingy in approving ad hoc, as needed deviations from posted hours, and so I think that might be a reasonable, mechanism to continue. That's just kind of my first blush impression of this. But I guess I welcome your reaction to that if you have one.
So I mean, if I was to use the ad hoc approach, and I just requested I want to run 5 extra hours a day from April 1 until October 30th.
Yeah, right.
Is that
That wouldn't be ad hoc, would it?
is that doesn't meet the requirement of ad hoc, right? So it's not in the spirit of what that
Right,
is.
and I
So-
don't really think that would reflect your need either, because your need, I'm guessing, is not that constant throughout the entire, season, depending on what your contracts are that you have to fulfill and so forth. It's got to fluctuate, I would think.
So we have what I've laid out before you is a process to allow you to have some comfort. We have a site visit for you guys if you're interested and interested neighbors. We've got a trial period, 2 weeks separated to give us a feel for that. I can write some conditions for you, with your lawyer's input on, some things that would gain you comfort on this. It's not intended to be a carte blanche 10-year free for all. So, I mean, maybe that would provide some comfort too. So I guess, where do we go from here? I don't think the ad hoc is going to meet the needs we're looking for. So I think we're down to, is this approach seem reasonable? Do you think where we can get where we need to be, or should we just decide to not pursue this?
do you think that the residents nearby would be able to hear or see your overnight excavate? I don't know the words for your extraction stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I wouldn't be asking if I thought we were going to have a bunch of problems, for certainly. And I think when you get out there and you look at it, and then we can go around along Stagecoach, and we can shut the rest of the plant off, and we can all get out of a bus, and we can stand there and we can you can listen for yourself, and we can inform the process that way. And that's what the goal of the process is. I mean, get out there, get some boots on the ground, really see what it's like.
I think it's a reasonable field trip. Assuming there's no impact to the residents, and so there's no crushing, no blasting, no trucking.
Though we're not requesting a change to those activities in those hours of what we're doing now. It's only the extraction phase taking place in your township.
Are there lights on the equipment?
Yes, we use, we'll have light plants out there with downcast lights. The loaders and equipment themselves have lights that point down at the work.
Aren't you down? I can't recall. I mean, if you're
What's
on
our-
Stagecoach, it's
What's our
quite a bit
pit
down.
face? 25 feet? 60 feet.
60 feet.
But it should.
Yeah,
60 today, it would be 30.
yeah. I
But you're
recall.
certainly in a pretty deep hole.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to, say you can't invite folks for, as Rachel calls it, the field trip. I think that'd be fine, and I think then residents, and I've received a lot of feedback on this, so I think there are a lot of residents who are interested in this. They may very well be interested in availing themselves of this demonstration that you're talking about. I think that's certainly, I don't want to stand in the way of your doing that,
Mhm.
at all. So if, to the extent that you want to, set something up and we'll publicize it. And I would say folks that would be interested in doing this should probably contact maybe Amrise or,
Well, yeah, we can, if we decide, if we're deciding that's the way we go, I'll get contact information and we can figure out how we post it.
yeah, I don't think there's any harm in that happening. At this point, I wouldn't feel comfortable though committing us to a trial period or a permanent period of those extended hours. But I think the idea that you want to introduce residents to, kind of what the operation is all about and so forth, I think that's fine.
I think the three of us need to be there though, because it's hard to weigh in on something when I don't quite understand. Like haven't seen it or heard it or,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I'd be for that, yeah.
So there's quorum, issues with that or whatever. So if
We'd have to
we-
post it as a meeting.
we could do that, or I'm happy to make multiple trips with, each of you or something if we want to do it that, whatever.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, and we've been down there. I just wasn't looking with this lens.
yeah, right. Yeah, so I think what we would do is, if you wanted to set something up, we would, I think the three of us should be there, along with any and all residents that would be interested in learning more about this. And we can take that tour.
You said you've had some interest, just for the purpose of my planning. Can you give me an idea? Have you heard from 15 residents or 500 residents or
Several several residents
several?
have
Okay,
taken
well,
the trouble of emailing us, one of us or more of us, and I think it's probably fair to say that where there's smoke, there's fire. In other words, I think
Sure.
a lot of folks that are interested in this topic might not actually have taken the trouble to express themselves on an email, but based on the feedback I got, I think there's strong community interest in not having more noise and dust and all the rest of it.
Well, if nothing else, it's an opportunity for us to meet the neighbors. So I think it's
Sure.
I think it's something.
I think it's a worthwhile thing, yeah.
All right. So next steps. It sounds like I will get.
Oh, yeah, I guess he's got a question, so.
What's the present output of your plant down here in ton per day? If you don't know, that's okay.
I don't know if I've got those. I don't have those numbers.
Okay.
My plant guy would, but
And
I don't want to take a guess.
Just to follow up on that, that might be some good background information for us to have too. If you could give us kind of on an annualized basis, even over the last 2-3 years, during which time you have worked on a lot of these projects that you talk about in your letter, in annualized and maybe even break it down monthly or quarterly or something, so we get an idea what is the nature of the fluctuation.
Monthly, not quarterly.
Monthly, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
monthly. Thank you. Yeah, if you could break it down like that, then we get an idea, a better idea about the fluctuation and the kind of the intensity of the operation and stuff. So I think that would be nice information to have, but go ahead, keep going, John.
Your extraction process, I assume you have a couple 10-yard loaders, they're feeding a hopper, then it's running it up to the plant. Is that what you're just using as a description of the extraction process?
Yep.
Okay.
There's a screen in there shaking sand as well.
Yeah, since you don't have the figures on what you're putting out here, I've hauled out of the Nelson plant, I'm familiar with that. And you're gonna up it to 725,000 tons a year. That equates to 40,700 trucks to remove that amount of material. And I'm concerned about the traffic, the increase in noise. And as far as you're running 24 hours, my scale of work was on a much smaller scale. We could do about, let me think for a minute what we could do. We could do about 2,800 ton a day. Well, one loader isn't gonna do it, so we'd put 2 loaders on it. And if they wanted more, we'd put more loaders. Why can't you put more loaders and another conveyor in
There's
instead of running 24 hours?
there's options. There's options where we can do different things, but there's bottlenecks in plants where substantial infrastructure needs to be put in there to make all these things go. And so we're looking at hours first, and we want to try this trial with you guys and see if it goes. So as far as I'm trying to follow your math, as far as the trucks goes and things, we're throwing out's a poor term. We waste over half of what we mine, so that sand goes right back in the ground. So we're mining a sand and gravel deposit with a gravel percentage of 20% or something in there. And so a large portion of that material goes right back in the hole. So although we're going to increase our mining substantially with the hours, a lot of that is rejected. Not every ton we mine goes on a truck and goes out. And those trucks are still going to take the same routes they're taking now and are still going to be running the same hours they're running now.
Could you give us also figures on how much of the material will be returned and to the pit? And then give us an accurate number of how many trucks per day will be going in and out of there.
We can look at some numbers. I mean, either these hours are going to be, quiet and acceptable, or they're not. And so we wanted to start with the process, but if the numbers are important, we can try and look at something there.
And speaking of numbers, maybe you're already going to do this, but yeah, if you could contrast the historical output over the planned output, so we get an idea of the magnitude of that too, that would be nice. What else was I going to say? Oh, most of the trucking goes out through Lakeland, as I understand it, right?
Yes.
But what about that access road? Is that a one-way road that leads from the pit out to Stagecoach in West Lakeland? And will that be utilized?
No,
What's that for?
the ready mix trucks
Well, that's only for ready-mix
use
trucks.
that road almost exclusively, and there's limits on the amount of trucks that can use that road.
Okay.
We are not proposing any changes in trucking hours or trucking routes.
So you don't even truck the gravel you're mining out of that onto Stagecoach. It goes down to Hudson Road.
Yes. And that's in our permit.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Those are great questions, John. I appreciate them. Any others? If not, why don't we do this? Why don't we say that, well, I don't know how to coordinate this, but I suppose you'd want to coordinate this tour with Carrie, our town clerk, because she'll have to make sure that the supervisors have availability on whatever day and time you're proposing. So we can coordinate that way.
Could you also tell us other procedures that you could follow and maybe what the increase of cost is give us a few details on other procedures.
In other
Other
words,
than-
alternatives to,
Yeah.
to achieve the same
Yes.
output per
Yeah.
month or whatever it is, yeah, right. Yeah, which you talked about a little bit, you know, John had mentioned that idea of adding
We're-
equipment, so.
I'm proposing a process that I think is not going to be disruptive to the neighborhood. And we'll go out there and we'll try it. And if it's not disruptive, I hope we have an open mind to come back and look at it. If it is disruptive, numbers don't matter. We're not gonna proceed, right?
Okay, well, that's true.
So,
Okay, all right.
Carrie, is your email on the website easy to get? Okay, very good. Any
All
other
right.
questions for me?
Anything else? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time, guys.
Go ahead.
Question.
Oh, I got a question. Yeah.
Sure.
So, James Doyle, and this is Vermont, we live on Stagecoach. We're surrounded by the quarry on the north, east, and south. So we're maybe one of the more affected properties. I'm a customer of aggregate industries primarily. And so getting class two, whatever, dumping off concrete on your pile, which is basically, we're directly west of the pile, just to kind of tell you where
Okay.
we are. I didn't hear anything said about if operations expand, would you change the current conveyor belt that's north to south operating north south basically? Your waterworks are on the other side of it. Well, is that a question for you? Like, let me restate it. You have existing conveyor systems. Would those be moved to a more east-west orientation, or would you be adding onto the existing conveyor infrastructure to move more material? Which would also lead me to my next question, would be, maybe you guys run like 3 wheel loaders or something like that. I haven't been in there in a while, but it's, I see the dudes driving around, or whatever. So, if you're moving conveyors, that implies to me it's similar amount of equipment. If you're expanding operations, right? This stuff's kind of doing what it's doing. We're gonna build in several hundred more feet of this. But anyway, more conveyor and the equipment to service it. I don't know exactly how that goes. It's for those purposes. So more conveyor, removed conveyor, number of machines, now versus predicted. This would be the first two.
Yeah, so number of wheel loaders and number of grizzly feeders and number of screening equipment would stay roughly the same. We're always extending and moving conveyor as we process through the deposit. Conveyor is honestly the quietest thing we run. You could almost run conveyor through here and have a conversation. But yes, those are moving as we go, because you can only run a wheel loader so far, as you know. So you extend the conveyor out and get you close to the working face, and you keep moving that way through the deposit.
Maybe I mixed up the waterworks, like as you go down to get to the concrete pile, you go over a little up bridge thing, and that's the conveyor, right? The waterworks.
Yep. So that main plant that sits in Lakeland, that does the crushing and the washing, we have no intentions of moving that plant at this time, and we have no intentions of changing the hours of that plant, the operating hours of that plant at this time.
So we also lived on 10th Street, and I can't say I ever heard any sound, but I've been told that some people, former neighbors, could hear a sound at night. We're outside a lot, so I guess we have a lot of experience of the sounds. I know some of the stuff sounds like. One thing I didn't hear about that I guess I think other people may be impacted more than I would be, because the C Farms property that's farmed right now, if that were south of my property, so basically this stuff's a little connected there, if that were quarry, the behind our house is a large berm, and then you guys are down in a large pit, and I'm sure that causes a sound, where I can still hear things, but hear anything about, if you are going to exploit westward towards the road, the neighbors that are in front of that portion of the road, there's no berm there or anything, but that would obviously have to be stripped, so something like, I guess berms might help people to not just jack like, hey, who's gonna dig a big pit? Everyone can see versus some of this berm type stuff we have, you have the material and it have to be moved anyway, so it just seems like that. And I'd bring up an objection that I wouldn't like noise and our windows face, we'd see lights for sure. I can see your trucks on the access road at night through our little woods. So, yeah, the berm could block up some of that light. I don't know if you're running at night actually, even though you live right next to you because of the berm. I don't see light pollution at night. So I actually don't know if you're running, even though I hear stuff, so there must be some lights. But
It's,
some input on the placement of lights and possible berms for noise blockage and sound blockage might be good, so I guess those would be the few things that I'd be curious about. Thank you for your time.
sure. And I'm thinking maybe some of these things might be, if you decide to go on the tour, some of these questions might be answered there too, but if you have a quick comment you want to make.
Yeah, I mean, we berm overburn all the time, so as we move towards Stagecoach, I fully anticipate building a berm there because we need a place to put the overburden anyway, so it's a dual purpose. It provides a buffer to the neighborhood and it has a place for storage of that overburden.
To be a berm, sorry, just got a term, but to be a berm with the sumac or something that matches the other side of the street, if it's less objectionable, but.
Okay.
But now you say it, it makes sense that you do, but I just didn't hear it, so.
Thanks. Thank you. Any, okay, so do you have any further comment or just all, we're gonna set up, okay, so we'll set up our field trip here. Sounds good. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Okay. So let's see, what's next here on the agenda? Next thing on the agenda is a business use application, class 4 home occupation interim use permit at 1365 Neal Avenue North. Is somebody here to speak to that? Okay. And then I just want to ask Dell, is this something that the planning commission is going to have input on too after? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, please.
Good evening.
Your name and address.
Okay, so I'm Jane Grant Abbon. Address is 1365 Neal Avenue North, Lake Elmo.
Okay.
So we've lived at the home for 13 years. I bought the home on the basis that I could have a business there, and there was already an existing outbuilding. I've run a business there in the past. My business has changed slightly, and I wanted to make sure that I was compliant with any changes, and so I'm going through this process again. So the business is very small. It's just me. I live at the property. My husband's here as well. And there's no new structures. There's nothing really changing. So it's a health and wellness business where I serve individuals or small groups of people in various healing modalities.
In various what? Healing?
Healing modalities.
Oh, modalities.
So I do therapeutic art, and I do somatic movement, and I do a gentle healing, hands-on healing process called spinal flow.
So is this like almost like physical therapy or manual manipulation or something?
Yeah, you could say that. The closest would be chiropractic. That practice has come out of chiropractic, but it's very gentle.
And let's see, I haven't. Man, this is. You say there's you have an existing business now, and
I've just changed the business. Before I used to have an art academy for kids,
A what?
Art Academy for kids.
Oh, Art Academy, okay.
Yeah, I no longer do that. Now I've moved into therapeutic art and these couple of other things as well.
So you were conducting this Art Academy at the same residence under?
Yes.
Under a.
In
under
the
an
same
amusement?
building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What, say, and so what, how many, customers and so forth, or what's the, I mean, is that, I don't even know, is that part of our considerations for an interim use permit, is the kind of the level of
Yes.
traffic and everything?
It's in the application.
Yeah.
And parking. Or is it-
So most of what I do, hopefully, is the spinal flow part of my business builds will be 1 or 2 customers coming during the day at a time. Two customers at a time coming, and that will probably just be 1 or 2 hours of the day. A Saturday morning, I want to do a somatic movement class for a small group of people. And then I'll also want to do therapeutic art. Again, that will be just a small group of people coming at a time. And that won't be running all the time. I tend to run it for maybe 3 weeks, and then there'll be a break, and maybe I'll do another one the next quarter. So it's hard to be very specific at this point, because one part of the business I'm going to be building from scratch, and that's the spinal flow, and that's actually going to be really quiet. That's just 1 or 2 people turning up.
And when you have these groups, is there some kind of parking facility?
Yeah, we have
provided?
parking down the driveway, and I've marked that on the map.
3 spots there.
Oh, yeah, I see, okay. I'm just curious too, what about licensure? Is there any kind of licensure required for this kind of practice, or is this
No.
just unlicensed,
Yeah.
or homeopathic type thing? Okay. Does anybody have any questions other than those I've asked? Questions? No? Okay, maybe we should hear from the planning commission, since the planning commission, I take it, has heard this, may have some recommendations for us.
Yes, we reviewed the application at our last meeting and evaluated the business operations, and mostly based on the number of customer visits a day, the number of cars parked, and so forth. She would be classified as class 4 interim use. But the business itself is very benign, I don't think anybody would notice hardly that anything was there. She has an ideal setup. She has a separate studio, separate from the house. So we recommended that this be approved by a unanimous vote.
All right, thank you, Dale. Does this require anything beyond our action tonight, such as a public hearing or something? So the next step would be to set it on for a public hearing. All right. Well, I'll move that we set this application on for a public hearing. And probably, I suppose, at our October meeting, do we have time to give notice? Since our October meeting is moved up?
Yeah, it's September 29th.
Right.
So let me take a look here.
And does this require mailed notice to within a quarter mile or anything of that nature, like a variance?
Yeah. Yes, 1/4 of a mile.
Okay.
Yes. We have time. We'd have to get, I'd have to publish something by the end of the week. So, which is doable.
Okay.
What about mailing
No.
labels and stuff? Are we supposed to?
Yeah, and I'll be in touch with you, Jane.
Okay.
I think we talked about this already. Mailing labels would be needed with Washington County.
Right. No, we didn't.
Yeah, okay, so I will get in touch with you on that process, but
Okay.
you'll have to pick them up.
Okay.
Now that it's so late in the,
Yeah,
in
no
the
problem.
month, or early in the month for our next meeting, so, and I will tell you where it is, and where I'll forward the form as well, so you can complete that.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. So I return on September 29th.
Right, and that's, just because that's our October meeting, and we had to move it up because of schedule conflicts, so our October meeting is actually gonna take place on September 29th
Okay.
of, so later this month. But it sounds like we can get the notice and everything mailed out in
Yes.
time for that, so that's, so I would ask that, I would move that we schedule that public hearing for that meeting on October 29th. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
no. Okay, so we'll see you on the 29th.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks. All right. Let's see what's next. Next is the CUP application for the ground mount solar system at 1277 Old Ridge Avenue North.
I assume I was supposed to come up here.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
you are. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Aaron White. My wife and I have been planning for a ground-mounted solar system toward the back of our property, which is the eastern edge of our property. That shows it pretty well. And yeah, we presented it to the planning committee, a couple of weeks ago. We have some approvals needed from Excel still that we're waiting for, but we don't see that being an issue. I don't have too much more to share. It's 52 panels, about 74 feet in length, and 14 feet wide, about 10, just under 10 feet max height. And we wanted to set it back kind of as far back to the north as we could. I think maybe some of the neighbors to the south may be able to see it from certain angles. But we also needed to get out of the way of the septic mound just north of it. So
Okay, have you given any thought to doing some kind of vegetative screening to make it so that the folks who might otherwise be, because it looks like the home to the south there is pretty close. I mean, they're not violating the setback or anything, but they're kind of close to the property line. So I'm just wondering, have you given any thought to screening on that?
yeah, we wanted to be mindful of them too. I think that house actually, there's some really tall pines just in their view, but the house one further south, they might actually have a decent view of it. But yeah, before the town hall, my wife and I are planning on going and just introducing ourselves and letting them know, and asking if that's something that they really want. I think we would like to do something like that regardless. Or, painting. The system itself looks pretty discreet. It's all black, but I know that I haven't seen the posts. We've asked All Energy about the posts, and they're just steel, but they said that we can paint them black if needed to. So yeah, we haven't planned anything to answer your question, but we're wanting to be accommodating to our neighbors to the south.
Right. Planting pine trees is very green in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah, that
Um,
won't be bad.
All right, so, does anybody else have any question? Should we, is something else, Dell, that you folks have looked at for us?
Yes, so
All right,
we had a very busy meeting the last time.
my sympathies.
We got done only 7 minutes after the hour, though, after covering about 12 items on our agenda.
That's admirable.
But anyway, There isn't much to say about this because it's all pretty neat and clean. He's well back from the setbacks. It's, position of the array is quite well screened, and if he doesn't plant pine trees, some buckthorn is gonna come up anyway. And, we found nothing to complain about. So the planning commission voted to send it up to you with our approval.
All right. Thank you, Del. Appreciate it. This also requires a public hearing. So I think the next step would be to, I'll move that we set this on for a public hearing at our October meeting, which will happen in September.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll set that on for, we'll have 2 public hearings then to start that meeting off. Thank you very much. Okay, and thank you for your presentation. Okay. Oh, it's time for the planning commission update. Don't get too comfortable, Del.
Hi, it's me again.
Yes. Welcome back.
Mark is out of town. He's on the West Coast. I think his son is going to college or something like that. So here I am. At our last planning committee meeting, which was August 21st, we covered a lot of territory. We had a couple of items which are not on your agenda tonight, which we looked at and had a vote on. And since they're not on your agenda tonight, I guess I won't discuss them at all. Unless you really want me to. That one was for a garage and one was for, both were for garages and in non-standard situations. How's that for a way to put it? We talked about the township fee schedule. Mark noted that there were two different fee schedules posted on the township website. We've caught that. That's been changed so that the most current version is up there, right? I think. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And also, we recommended that on the current fee schedule, it should be updated to show that there's $100 application fee and $1,000 escrow fee for looking at an accessory structure closer to the street than the primary structure. Those come up quite often. And we sent that on forward to the to Carrie for putting into the township website.
Can I just stop you there a second, Del, because I'm just
Sure.
not sure. I just want to ask council, does that require any board action? In other words, the fee schedule, being updated in that fashion? Is that just something that we can do the way the planning commission has done it by just posting it? Or does it require any board action?
So, Mr. Chair, a zoning fee schedule needs to go through a notice, hearing, and town board adoption.
All right, so what we need to do, a public hearing? So we need to set it out for public hearing?
Correct.
And that's the case with any amendment to the fee schedule, I take it?
To the zoning fee schedule. It's a thing unique under chapter 462, which is your zoning authority. It talks about needing to be adopted by, because you're a big enough town, there's an exception for small towns, but your fees for zoning have to be approved by ordinance. So it does have to go through that hearing process. Now, if you were setting a dog license fee or something like that, that's something the board could do on its own without having to go through that process. It's just that
That would
with
still require
462.
board action, but it
Yes.
doesn't have to be-
Yeah, all fees have to be set by the board.
Right. So, is that the only change we've made to the fee schedule, the one you're talking about?
That's the only one I'm aware of. That was the one, let's see here. That was there was an edit made to the grading permit that was not a change in the fee. And the one I'm talking about here is the one pertaining to locating an accessory structure.
Right.
That's the only one that has any dollars associated with it. The other one also was making a update to make sure that there was only one fee schedule on the website. There had been two, and so we made sure that there's just one.
Dale, that was only up one day.
Oh, we caught it.
Yeah,
Only
you caught
one
it the same
day.
day. It was supposed to be deleted, so I just want to note that. That wasn't up there for
Okay,
months.
okay.
So, okay,
Mark just happened to find it.
yeah, yeah.
Maybe the cleanest thing to do would be to have a public hearing and board action to adopt the current fee schedule in its entirety, maybe, if we intend to change it. So, not that I really want to clutter up next month's, meeting with another public hearing, but I think we kind of have to do it. And so I would move that we set it on for a public hearing for the purpose of approving the new fee schedule, the current fee schedule in its entirety with changes that have been made at our next meeting. And that we hold that public hearing so that we can adopt the updated fee schedule.
I'll
So,
second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, so we'll have the hearing on the updated fee schedule next month. That should hopefully go smoothly.
Okay,
Yeah.
then, we were asked to look into a query about surveillance cameras. And addressing large observation cameras. Some company wanted to possibly set up some large area surveillance cameras for the purpose of noticing fires. We reviewed it and had some discussion about it. They're not currently an allowed use in our ordinances. And so since they're not an allowed use, there's no further consideration to be made to allow or disallow them. So that's the way we left it. Any questions on that?
No, I guess I would just,
I should also mention though that the planner did a survey of 17 townships or municipalities, whether they've had any inquiries about this type of a business, and most of them say this is the first we've heard of it. And most of them said if we did hear about it, we really don't think we need it. We can see a potential for it if you're living up north, out in the woods.
Yeah.
They don't have fire towers up there anymore. So something that's automated that spots smoke makes sense up there. We've got trees around here, but unless somebody's getting very ambitious with their recreational fire, I don't think they're going to get much business.
right.
Then we were also asked to consider the possibility of data centers. By data centers, we're talking about these big lights out buildings that have rack after rack after rack of computers that handle data. And they don't make any noise. They just sit there on the land and they soak up lots of electricity. And quite a bit of water too, but they've got some newer temperature control things going on now. But they need to be in places that have a great source of electricity. I don't think we have that here, unless they plant one underneath the High Line over here. And so I don't think we have really the potential for that. They need a large facility to make it worth their while. And there's one going in down in, is it Apple Valley? Oh, the old University of Minnesota property.
Farmington, I think.
Yeah, down
And then
there.
there's a township right by Farmington that will,
Rosemont.
Rosemount, yeah. Yeah, they have acres and acres and acres, and that's what they're looking for, is acres and acres. And it's fairly much in the country. Eventually, the houses will come out right up to their cyclone fence, but so we decided that we recommend that we don't make data centers an allowed use. Right now, they're not an allowed use. And the motion was carried by a 5-0 vote.
Okay.
There is a vacancy on the planning commission. We put out notice for applications for the commission seat, which will be the remainder of a term that will end in another 2 years. So someone, namely Betsy, resigned from the planning commission. Since she moved out of the township, she had to do that. And so she was able to serve part of her 3-year term, and the remainder of her 3-year term will be filled with somebody that's applying for the position.
are you getting some good applicants or some applicants?
Would you believe we have had 14 of them?
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I'm just kidding. We haven't.
Erase that in the minutes if you got it. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So, no, I believe I've heard of one, and if there are others, you have until midnight tonight. That's what the time was put into the website.
It's a tight timeline.
Yeah. Now, we've had real good results before. At one time, we had 9 people, and we winnowed it down to 6, and then down to 3, and then we interviewed the 3, and we ended up with Rachel. How about that? And look where she is now.
You gotta be careful.
Yeah,
It's a Cinderella story.
there's no guarantee that being on the planning commission will get you a seat up there eventually. And some people don't even want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if any of you are interested in being on the planning commission, if you have any kind of a background in, there are no specific backgrounds that are required, but if you do have a background in some technical aspect like engineering or architecture, civil engineering, those are strong points, because we just do a lot of discussion around roads and land use and things like that.
So
So,
really, any background is a qualification, correct?
yeah, if you've
Yeah.
played in a sandbox,
Right.
that works.
Okay.
So, yeah,
All right.
that's
Thank-
it.
Thank you, Dale. I have one question for you here.
Sure.
I did talk to somebody last week who was applying to do a garage closer to the house. And I think you guys weren't gonna recommend it. That's probably one of the ones you're talking about, that
Yep.
we don't have to do any action because you didn't recommend it. But really, if that person is here, is that person here, Lisa Myers, is she here? Because she thought she might show up tonight. I thought
Mhm.
this is where I could shoehorn her comments in. But I guess if she's not here, she's not here.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I think she and her husband might have gone back to the drawing board. That's possible to make it work.
Right.
And same thing with Adam Simmet. He didn't have his info all together yet
Okay.
tonight. His looked like a good arrangement. Yeah, we just needed more information.
Yeah.
So, and that's the
I'm
planning
hoping-
commission.
I'm
wants-
hoping Lisa can come back with a plan that doesn't require the variance, you know, just.
Yeah,
Yeah. 'Cause
yeah.
I think their plan is good, it's just that the variance is,
Yeah, it was a very nice looking building that they were
Yeah.
proposing, but the setback requirements really took
Right.
care of it.
right, Joe, thank you very much.
And if you have anything that comes up during the meeting that we need to discuss in our next
Oh, I
planning.
think we
commi-
will. I think we'll have something for you.
Okay, our next planning commission meeting is next week, Thursday.
Okay.
Back there.
All right. Thank you again, Dale. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's time for the update on our big street improvement project. Coming along.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. The street improvement project continues to progress. We're moving into kind of the punch list phase of the project for a number of the areas and hope to be putting the final lift of pavement on Neil Nolan 20th and the Old Ridge Olean neighborhoods in the next couple of weeks. So is progressing towards the finish line, which is good. And as such, on the agenda tonight is approval of pay request number 4 to OMG Midwest Minnesota Paving and Materials. It's in the amount of $392,839.86, which is recommended based on work complete to date. Township still retains 5% of the work completed, which is $123,635.70. We're remaining within our scope and budget.
Okay, thank you. I did see an email exchange between you and a resident talking about what they thought was kind of some soft spots over the culverts on, I believe it would be Nolan. And I'm just wondering if those have been addressed satisfactorily to the engineer?
Yep, the testing company came and did compaction testing, and those came back adequate per specs, and there was a little bit of cleanup that they did at the top surface layer before paving it, so.
Okay, good. And so all the other inspections have been, they've passed muster in all regards before we approve this expenditure.
Yep.
Want to make sure that's happened. Okay. Very good.
Got a question. Do you have copies of the density reports?
At least 2 of them in my possession right now.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to look at them.
Yep.
Then the other thing on Nolan, on both sides of the road, we've got some rocks, boulders that are in what'll be a mowed grassy area of the slope. What's going to be done with those?
I know they're working on shoulder or the kind of the restoration along the shoulders before getting it established with seed in certain areas. I'd have to look closer where the rocks are, but we can make sure that they're getting cleaned up before they're shouldering and getting out of there.
Yeah, and that's so the payment we'll approve now doesn't absolve them of cleaning that up, right?
No, it does not.
Okay, and then the plan, I take it, I assume on that slope that John's talking about is to remove boulders and things that would be obstructions to mowing and so forth, and also to put down black dirt and some kind of good turf, that kind of thing.
Yeah, provided it was in areas that were disturbed as a part of the project.
Yeah, right.
Is there in the specs what they define as what size rocks to remove?
There'll be, so there's 2 types of restoration. One is the lawn or the turf established area where they're to bring in screen topsoil free of rock over, some smaller rock is acceptable, but nothing big. And then there's the shouldering that's done, which is putting compacted rock along the side of the road, so. But within reason.
Good, because it also kind of to John's point, I was actually talking to our mowing contractor, and he mentioned the same thing, that there are some big boulders or rocks down there that will make it difficult for mowing in it, and I think that's what John's getting at, that should be,
Yep. There were some spots specifically along 12th that we met with Matt with MS.
That's right, yeah.
I believe earlier or later last week to make sure we were kind of addressing his concerns, and once it got
Right.
cleaned up, that his mower was functioning with those areas of potential
Okay.
issue, so.
Okay, good.
See, Phil?
Yeah.
Got a comment here.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question.
Chairman. Do I need to go?
Sure,
through
why don't you do that, yeah, because,
Just very quickly,
okay.
are there any provisions or any thoughts about guardrails on Nolan?
Guardrails were reviewed during the kind of preliminary design to see if they met qualifications and standards. It is a steep slope off the edge of the road, which everybody that's driven it probably is aware. Guardrails present their own hazards in getting clipped by cars if they're too close in unwarranted situations and issues with snow removal. So that particular stretch didn't meet the kind of standards to put them up in place, which is why we tried to fit in kind of a 3-foot shoulder south of Greenwood to try and give cars a little bit of extra forgiveness, if you will, and try to kind of get those slopes a little bit better. We weren't able to do that for the full stretch of the road, but for some, that's what they'll be working on, kind of improving here. But guardrails were reviewed, they just didn't meet the warrants in that particular consideration.
Thank you, John.
The other thing I'll say about that, that's such a narrow, there are narrow confines there to that road. And what I've kind of noticed, the guardrails on Oak Green, they're new, but when I'm walking along Oak Green and there's a big old truck coming along, I feel like there's nowhere to go, with that guardrail. They're just kind of, keeping you right on the, captive almost. So, they can be kind of a double-edged sword, I think, in a way. Anyway, thank you for that. Any other questions? And I think what we need now is a motion to approve payment of the next installment, right? So I will move that we make payment of that next installment to the contractor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We'll need a roll call.
Supervisor Dana,
Aye.
Supervisor Buelow,
Aye.
Chairman Musburger.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Chad, for that.
Cruising.
What's that?
We're cruising.
Yeah, we are. I know.
Thank goodness.
Okay, yeah, so then, and then the next topic is the 30th Street Joint Powers Agreement, which we're not really that close to an agreement on yet. Just because I have had a difficult time actually having a good time to talk to Nicole, their chair in Baytown. So it's between us and Baytown, and basically where this stands is this. Chad was kind enough to do a estimate of on a 15-year time horizon. What is the difference in the expenditures that will have to be made to maintain the western portion of 30th Street, which is what we're proposing to take on a permanent basis, and the eastern portion of 30th Street, recognizing that the eastern portion of 30th Street is in worse shape right now than the western portion overall.
Eastern of what, though? Of 30th?
East of 30th Street Circle North. So 30th Street Circle North represents the halfway point in terms of mileage of the common areas of 30th. So we got some areas of 30th that are part of Baytown. We got a little area of 30th that's entirely West Lakeland, but the common areas, that's what we're talking about splitting in half. And the halfway point is 30th Street Circle North. As Chad's analysis kind of shows us, we have slightly fewer actual linear feet of roadway, but we have more square yards of pavement surface. So it's kind of, it really is right in the middle, but these numbers kind of straddle it a little bit. But anyway, the difference on a 15-year time horizon is about $210,000. So in other words, whoever gets the eastern half, which I think is going to be Baytown, would have to pay $210,000 more to maintain their portion than we would to maintain our portion over the next 15 years. And so I think what Baytown is asking us is to, although they haven't come completely right out and spelled this out, I think what they're looking for is a payment from us, kind of like what we would do when the county takes one of our roads. We do a turn up to Washington County like we're going to do 22nd Street. And I think, is Marcia still? Yeah, she is still here. I think Marcia's recollection is that that's going to cost us somewhere around, is it like 500,000 or something? Yeah. 400, 600, yeah. with inflation, that number could actually go up, I suppose. It's really early to say what that number's gonna be because Washington County hasn't even done, and I understand, I don't think they've done the engineering or anything on that yet, so they really don't have a good firm number. But that gives you an idea of what we have to pay when we turn over a road to somebody. And so, kind of in the grand scheme of things, that might not be a bad or an unfair figure for us to be thinking about in terms of turning over that eastern part of 30th Street to Baytown. But again, we're not there yet. We don't have agreement that that's what should happen. But I'm just kind of telling you that's kind of where this discussion is probably headed.
And so that's for the east side of 30th?
The east side costs,
Right.
will cost a little bit more.
Okay, so are we gonna propose that we're gonna cut them a check for the difference? But
Yeah.
can we stipulate that they need to repair that road? Because that's the bad section of the road that we were fully prepared to have rebuilt
Yes.
by now. Like
Yes.
it would have been done by now.
That's right.
So if they want to,
It would have been done by now. We invited them to go halvesies with us on it and split the cost. We would do all the engineering. We would take care of it. They would just reimburse us half the cost. They turned us down. That's kind of why we are now looking at dividing this into two segments that we won't have to coordinate on any longer. And I think that's a very reasonable condition to put on it, the one you are, outlining, that they would agree with it in a certain period of time to proceed with the work. I think that's a good idea. I will make that a part of our proposal when I do get to talk to.
what was so if we can't come to an agreement, what was the county does something, or what was the escalation?
Yeah, by statute, a line road between two towns is, the towns are supposed to come to an equitable arrangement. If they're not able to agree, either party can petition the county to have the county board review it. And I believe I mentioned this before, but counties hate that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I think the incentive for both towns would be to try to avoid that if at all possible.
Sure. And that certainly is my hope and our hope, I think. And
Trying. Phil's trying
we're
so
trying.
hard.
We're
Oh, I
trying,
know,
and I think ultimately we'll have success. One question I do have though, just if it comes to that, if the county, so in litigation, you can't bring settlement discussions, into evidence, but I'll bet you can with the county board, just to show that we attempted an equitable arrangement.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair and Board, this isn't litigation, it's just a public hearing or a hearing before the county board, so, yes. I
We can
think
talk
anything's
about the
fair game.
steps we've taken to be
Anything's fair
reasonable.
game, right.
All right, well, I do think we'll ultimately have a good resolution, but I'm just bringing folks up to speed on kind of where we're at, why we're where we're at. Any comments? Yeah, I'd like your comment though, I'll make that part of it.
Yeah, thanks for doing all that too.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, very good. Let's see what else we got here. Well, it looks like we need a resolution to accept donations. It makes it so hard for us to accept donations, but. So who's got that? Well, you've got,
I just put it together for you one more time. We have a little bit of money trickled in after our event last month. So $300 from OMG Midwest, one of the gravel pits. So
okay,
you can accept that and we'll put it towards the total bill.
okay, thank you very much. Thanks for your efforts on this too.
Mhm.
So I will move that we move to adopt resolution number R 2025-19, accepting those donations from Miller Excavating. Cash donations. Huh? The one I've got in my packet says 19, but I don't know. Is that
20.
Oh, you got one that says 20.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I must have an old one. then.
Bill, these are the ones you signed. right?
Or are there multiple ones? Is it-
What's in there? Underneath that, that's the updated resolution.
Okay. So, yep, it's, okay, so it's resolution number R 2025-20, OMG Midwest, okay. So, that will be my motion. I'm moving that we adopt this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moving seconded. Any discussion?
Is that from the road contractor?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's our road contractor, right? OMG Midwest? Yep.
Oh, that was nice.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, it was from our road construction contractor, not from the gravel pit. Yeah.
Well, they are licensed as a gravel pit, yeah, because they're Tower Asphalt, but it's a different gravel pit. I know, the names keep changing all the time. This is the one across the highway,
That's a asphalt plant.
yeah. But we license them as a gravel pit.
Just wanted to keep that separate. We're not accepting.
So all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, no. Okay, so we'll sign that. And next item is Les and Lisa Nielsen request for an amendment to our town ordinance to prohibit roosters. Hi. And just go ahead and, state your name and address so that folks watching can see.
Hi, good evening, board members, neighbors. My name is Lisa Nielsen, and I live at 13760 Greenwood Trail in West Lakeland. And my purpose in speaking with you tonight is to request that West Lakeland ordinances against noisy roosters be enforced. These ordinances have to do with nuisance noise and the requirement that chicken coops and pens must be placed in the rear of the yard. I can detail those animal control ordinances in a minute, time permitting. Those are ordinances that are on the books. The West Lakeland Township site has them. I'd also like to ask for West Lakeland to enact a ban on roosters, specifically on lots with less than 5 acres. As many of you may not know, all of our surrounding towns and cities ban roosters. Among those are Lake Elmo, Afton, Woodbury, the city of Stillwater, Stillwater Township, Bayport, Hastings, Cottage Grove, and Hudson, Wisconsin, and there are many others. Roosters are prohibited east, west, north, and south of West Lakeland. Therefore, I think it's time for West Lakeland Township to prohibit roosters too. There is a reason: noise, constant noise. I believe West Lakeland Township ordinances should be amended to reflect the consensus of our neighboring communities. West Lakeland Township ordinances should be amended to protect the right of homeowners to enjoy peace and quiet in their own homes. I believe this oversight on the part of our city leaders should be addressed. Failure to do so is a disservice to the tax-paying residents of West Lakeland. I think we can all agree that constant loud noise negatively impacts our daily lives and damages our property values. The noise from the roosters crowing from before dawn to dusk is negatively impacting my family's quality of life as well as our health. Due to the noise, we can no longer sleep in our master bedroom, nor can we enjoy our yard or our deck. Many of our neighbors are also suffering from this incessant, intolerable noise. Greenwood Trail neighbors are here today. The total of 8 that are people that live on Greenwood Trail that are represented today that can attest to the constant noise that's just driving us out of our minds. What's forced me to come here tonight is that on more than one occasion, we've personally asked a specific neighbor of ours who owns many roosters and chickens to stop the noise. We've done everything we can over the past 3 years to be good neighbors. In an effort to be neighborly, we've also provided our neighbors with copies of the West Lakeland ordinances. We've mailed them copies of the West Lakeland ordinances. We've personally handed them copies of the West Lakeland ordinances that are on the books now. We've also told them how we can no longer enjoy our home due to the constant rooster noise. We've also explained that other neighbors that are here tonight, for example, a few of them, there's many others, are upset by the constant noise too. Sadly, our efforts have proven fruitless. They just don't care. They don't care. Their needs come first. Banning roosters is necessary, in my opinion. Banning roosters is common sense. 9 of our neighboring communities have already done so. And when I mentioned the animal control sections, I'm specifically referring to section 17.10.2.1, that all coops and pens must be located within the rear of the yard. That is not the case. They don't even have chicken coops. It's just, I've seen it. It's not a fair thing to the animals. And not a fair to us, because the ramshackle pens and cages are on the west side of their property, which is in direct line of sight of our property. Direct line of sight of our master bedroom, direct sight of our deck. Section 17.10.2.3, birds, coops, and pens must not be kept in a manner to cause a nuisance, such as noise, objectionable noise, and odors. Then Mr. Moosbrugger said you were going to check with the township attorney about 17.9.4, which are performance standards that have to do with livestock and livestock operations that must comply with all the following standards in that ordinance, in that section, regardless of the number of animals on the property or whether a permit is required. 17.9.4.1 says none shall be placed on any residential lot less than 5 acres. So I know that Dell pointed out that he wrote the domestic fowl amendments that were passed on July 8th, 2019 by that time that was Chairman Kylo. And I don't think that the new ordinance negates the other ordinance, the previous ordinance, or the current ordinance we have regarding livestock requiring 5 acres. Because chickens are livestock. There's no going away from that. I mean, livestock are animals that are raised for food, eggs, and meat. There you have it. Those are chickens. So I'd like to see that enforced. That is in the ordinance, the West Lakeland ordinance, that shouldn't have chickens on less than, or roosters on less than 5 acres. So, thank you for your time.
Chairman, board members, thank you for your time. My name is Les Henstein. I also live at 13760 Greenwood. In looking over the ordinances, I found that, like tonight, we have people coming here because they're concerned about noise. We've got the gravel pit issues coming because they don't want the noise. Everything's about the comforts of life. We spend a lot of money for the comforts of our life, our home, our yards, our families. In looking at the ordinances, more than 4 times nuisance and noise is outlawed. It's very specific. 3 very specific instances include home businesses, which is going on at this residence, and nuisance is not allowed. It's determined to be a misdemeanor. It's not being enforced. Environmental regulations. Noise nuisance is a regulation. It is not being enforced. It needs to be addressed. And in the livestock, noise nuisance is an ordinance. We're asking to ban roosters, but we also want to address the noise nuisance that's taking place in our neighborhood. We need to get back to the comforts of our life so that we can enjoy our home and our yard and not have to put up with somebody else's noise nuisance. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
What address is the noise coming from?
It's 13710. Greenwood Trail.
Pardon?
Greenwood Trail. I'm glad I didn't add that. It's 13710 Greenwood Trail.
All right, well, thank you for that. Now, and one thing I just want to clarify, what you're asking for, are you asking for roosters to be completely banned in the township or just on
Why not?
5
Why
acres?
not? Like
Why
in all
not?
the other cities, that would be great.
I mean, we have ordinances against dogs that make noise. What's the difference between a dog and a rooster? You can't control a rooster. You can control the dog.
Or Chairman, one thing that we had discussed previously is one of the ordinances on the books is that livestock should not be maintained regardless of the number on less than 5 acres.
Right. Now, so let me just address a couple of those things. First of all, I noticed that maybe, I don't know if Dell remembers this or not, but when I think the planning commission had something to do. And by the way, this will be a new assignment for the planning commission. To go back and take another look at this. But I think what they did back in 2019 was they actually took fowl out of the definition of livestock so that the livestock thing wouldn't apply. But whether that was a good idea or not, we could talk about. But
There's still some, pardon me, there's still some limitations on the number of fowl that are allowed on the property based on acreage.
yes, that's true. That's true. The other thing about acreage that I know, not to say that, you know, I'm not deciding what should happen or anything here, but I'm just pointing some things out. Baytown, our neighbor to the north, I actually checked with them, and they do not have any kind of an ordinance outlawing roosters. And I think Stillwater Township and maybe Afton, but for sure Stillwater Township, they don't allow them on less than 5 acres, but they do allow them on 5 acres or more. So not everybody around us has necessarily outlawed all roosters, but a couple of our neighbors have a limitation of 5 acres to have roosters, and our neighbor to the north doesn't have any limitation on roosters at this point. I'm not saying we necessarily have to follow that, but I'm just pointing out that not all of our neighbors,
Okay.
you know,
In my email that I sent the board on June 27th, it lists all the ordinances, including the township, Stillwater Township. And I did not see the 5 acres. I remember there was a total ban on roosters. And going back to the animal ordinance that I had mentioned earlier, it says, and when you're talking about, they took the word chickens out when they passed the new ordinance in 2019. When that was removed, chickens, you know what I'm talking about. But what's still in the West Lakeland ordinances under section 17.9.4, under performance standards, it says livestock and livestock operations must comply with all the following standards, regardless of the number of animals. And when they talk about the definition, of animals, it just says, it lists a bunch of animals, but it does not, it doesn't preclude, or it doesn't keep out. I'm looking for it right now. I'm not finding it. It says, it names a bunch of animals, but it doesn't say anything about there not being animals.
yeah, what they did was 17.9.2.4 struck the word chickens. Used to be in there, now it's not. Be that as it may, you know, I think what we need to do now is we probably ought to have the planning commission take a look at 2 things. One, you know, what are we left with? What does our current ordinance actually require or not require? Maybe clean that up if it needs to be cleaned up. And 2, to what extent should we regulate roosters as a you know, subset of chickens? And I think it'd be reasonable to have the planning commission take a look at that question and make some recommendations to the board.
I think there's a third element to this, and that's the current noise nuisance that's going on. We need to address
sure.
that,
Yeah,
because that is what is inconveniencing our life.
yes.
Our solution is long-term banning roosters. That's our proposal.
Yeah.
But our short-term resolution is eliminate the noise.
Yes.
And that needs to be addressed.
we'll look into that. I've reached out to that person and just haven't heard back. yet.
You know, and we also have the county ordinance against noise, you know, from 10 PM to 7 AM, there's not allowed, there should be no noise. That's against the law. It's a misdemeanor. I talked to a deputy sheriff today, you know, but, you know, I don't want to go there and waste the time of Washington County deputies when we already have rules and ordinances, laws and ordinances right here in our township. So that's why we're here asking for your help.
We'll see what we can do to address that specific complaint that you've got. And I think we should also look into whether we need to take action to limit, you know, roosters per se in some way. I do think that we should keep in mind a balance. I mean, this is not a high density, you know, city. A lot of people move out here because they kind of like to have some acreage and the ability to do some things like maybe raise, you know, some livestock and have that rural residential character that we pride in this township. So I think being too restrictive is probably not where we want to go either. But maybe there's a reasonable accommodation, and I leave it up to Dell to figure out what that is.
Well, when it infringes into somebody else's peace and sanctity, that becomes an issue as well. And if they're running it as a business, well, then that needs to be regulated.
Meaning selling eggs
And meat.
and meat, that's part of it as well. And
So now if we're running a business, I think there's some responsibility of the township to go and meet with them to see if they're, you know, have applied for the correct permits, have the business license, and if they're running their operation according to the current standards that are in both the home business operation, the environment operation, and the livestock, chicken and fowl. I mean, and we just want quiet.
Sure.
But if we have to rattle a cage and do that, that's our next step.
yeah, I'd prefer not to be calling the sheriff's
That
office.
isn't how we approach this, but if it's not gonna get resolved, that's the direction we have to go.
All right. Appreciate it. Appreciate your comments.
Thank
All
you
right,
so much.
thank you.
Any other questions
Yeah,
from members
I
of the
don't
board?
have questions, but I think the bigger issue is our existing ordinances aren't being enforced. So even if we wrote new ones, if the existing ones aren't
Good point.
working, then I think that's the writing new ones is secondary. So it seems like this has been going on a long time. We're probably gonna have more ordinance violations. I don't know if we have a better system of escalation or how.
If you
We
just,
don't have like a police I mean, we don't have, I mean, we're a township. We don't have animal control people patrolling or the lost dog, but I don't know what other, are there other townships that deal with it?
Mr. Chair and board, sure, you know, this is not a new issue across the state. There's different ways of handling it, but with towns, because you don't have staff, you know, you're not Cottage Grove and that has a whole staff of people that do inspections and enforcement. So typically in a town, what happens is that you identify someone that's going to talk to the person first, because ultimately there needs to be an analysis if there is a violation of the ordinance and one that can be enforced. And that usually starts with the conversation, an inspection, keeping in mind you can't go on property without permission, but trying to get some sense of if there's evidence of a violation. If there is, then we start a letter writing process. Town writes a couple letters, then I write a letter. Then it comes back to the town board to decide whether or not you want to institute a civil action to go to court to sue them to stop the violation. So this can take 2+ years and cost many thousands of dollars to enforce. So that's the reality of this stuff.
All right, well, so what I'd like to propose is that we take a look at whether we should be changing our ordinances with regard to roosters. We could start with the planning commission, which is what we usually do when we're considering modifying an ordinance, and then move on from there. And there are a lot of interests to balance here. The interests of people who are homeowners that want to have chickens and roosters and live that kind of rural residential lifestyle, and folks that that don't want to hear that kind of thing. And I guess we'll just have to kind of try to feel our way through this and figure out what's a reasonable reasonable approach to take. Some of our neighboring communities have taken the approach that you have to have 5 acres to do this. Some of them just allow it. Some don't allow it at all. The cities don't, generally speaking, I'd say the cities don't allow it at all. They don't allow roosters at all. But we kind of think of ourselves as being a little different than a city in some of those respects. And that people have a little more freedom to keep animals and so forth than they might on a city lot. So lots of interest to balance, but I do appreciate your comments. We'll take them to heart.
One comment based on how you're approaching the 5 acres is if we were to read this in accordance to that, you're allowing chickens to be raised on as little as half an acre.
Yes, that's right. The current ordinance says that, yeah. Not that I'm aware of any half-acre lots, but maybe there are one.
I'm not aware of any either,
Yeah.
but that's a pretty small lot to have a chicken lot on.
So you're suggesting that maybe that's, maybe there should be a minimum for chickens that's bigger than that. And we can certainly take that into consideration too. It's a lot to consider.
Yeah.
So we'll give it some serious consideration, serious thought.
Thank you.
And you'll have other opportunities to have input, obviously. If we do make a change in the ordinance, there'll be a public hearing and you'll be able to be heard at that. If the planning commission considers this at one of their meetings, those meetings are open to the public as well.
Okay.
So there'll be ample opportunities for people to.
In the interim, the noise nuisance is going to be addressed in what fashion?
I've already called this person. I haven't heard back yet, but I'll keep trying until I contact this individual, find out what they're doing. Anecdotally, I did go by there a few weeks ago, and on one occasion, I did hear one rooster. Kind of sounded distant and quiet. Didn't sound like it was terribly obtrusive to me. On another occasion, I sat there for 15 minutes at the end of their driveway, and all I heard was a blue jay.
What time of day, may I ask?
It was the afternoon.
Well, there you go. Try it at 5 a.m.
Well,
all the way to all.
You don't want to hear it at 5 a.m., nor do we.
If it's at noon, I'm like, okay, because they do settle down. But, if anyone who raises chickens, and there's a few people here that raise chickens.
I went out there in the afternoon because I'd heard that it was constant. So I thought I'd hear it.
It is constant, you just can't time it, but definitely early in the morning as roosters crow.
Sure.
And then they crow in the evening too. So it's dawn to dusk and in between there. So if you just pick one or two afternoons, you might get lucky, but other times my neighbors can attest, please, they'll tell you.
Sure.
They can't enjoy their homes either because of the noise, and it is all day long.
All right, we've got a lot of work to do, and I appreciate your.
Thank you,
helping
sir.
us with
Thank you
this.
so
Thank you
much.
very much. Yep. Okay. Okay, so now it's time for old and new business. I can't remember if we had some old or new business that we. You got something? Go ahead. Oh, yeah, sure. Tell us about that. Yeah.
Is somebody here representing the yellow ribbon? Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. Good evening. My name is Reggie Kopeski, and I am with, I live in Lakeland Shores, and I am the widow of Randy Kopeski, the former mayor of Lakeland Shores, who unfortunately was killed on Interstate 94. It will be 6 years ago. And he and I started the Yellow Ribbon Alliance of the Lower St. Croix Valley. So it's something that's very passionate to me in our community. And what we do is we support local military families, veterans, service members in the Lower St. Croix Valley. but now we have identified with several families here in West Lakeland Township. Some of the things that we do is once a year we put on, it's called the Randy Kopeski Field of Bands. It's held at the Washington County Fairgrounds. It's September 20th, which is in just a few weeks. And this is our big fundraiser for us to get money and support our families. We do, some of the things that we do is we have a local family whose little boy is now 8, but he has battled brain cancer since he was 18 months old. And his mom is in the Air Force. So we provide meals, babysitting services, whatever they need. We try to step up and help them. We also give 4 scholarships to graduating seniors that has someone affiliated with the military. And this year, a young girl from West Lakeland Township was awarded that. And also, she is sadly to say, her dad lost his life due to a brain aneurysm. So I have been able to connect with her mom, who's 50 years old, 2 children. And so we do a lot of good things. We give rides to the VA. We have given one veteran over 600 rides to the VA hospital in Minneapolis. My husband used to take a Vietnam vet to the Mayo Clinic twice a month. So I'm here tonight to spread our mission of what we do. We're always looking for volunteers to help support us. We would love to invite each and every one of you to the Randy Kopeski Field of Bands. It goes from noon until 8 o'clock. We have 4 bands, food trucks. The Bayport American Legion operates a beer garden for us. It's kid friendly. So I'm just trying to recruit volunteers, help for future projects, down the road. We put on a great veterans dinner at St. Francis of Assisi Catholic Church, free, in November. So I'm here just to spread a little bit of information about what we do and what our passion is. So if anybody has any questions, or if you've heard of us or seen our signs.
I haven't, but it sounds like a very noble cause, and I appreciate your coming here to tell us about it.
And did you have a request for the trailer?
Well, I was going to see if we could either put up a banner or a request to park our trailer possibly on your blacktop here, just to get a little more different traffic pattern, visibility.
And the trailer would have some kind of signage on it or something?
Yeah, it says Field of Bands. It basically advertises this information on it.
Okay, any thoughts? I'm fine with me. Anything that council wants to interject here about the propriety of that?
I'm sorry, I was looking at the livestock definition. And so the idea is that this trailer would be parked on town property?
Correct. It's to kind of promote this.
Just for a few weeks though, right?
Yeah, it'd just be a couple weeks, I think, right? This happens on September 20th.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's a couple weeks.
So, Mr. Chair, there is potentially, once you open up a public forum like that, it creates an opportunity for others to make similar requests, which can put you in a tough spot if it's an organization or something that perhaps is not in the best interest of the town to promote. So it potentially puts you in a tough spot that way. So,
Okay.
I mean, the chance of that happening, I have no idea, but there are some communities that have faced long protracted legal battles over saying yes to some and no to others.
Maybe we should, I suppose you need an answer kind of right away.
Years back, West Lakeland was designated as a yellow ribbon community.
Yeah,
Work more in conjunction with Bayport. And it kind of died out. We didn't have participants. But West Lakeland was designated a yellow ribbon community.
and,
Betsy was our representative on that committee.
and so what does that mean? In other words, were we dues paying members of some organization
No,
or
it's a
something?
designation you got for the state.
Right.
Award.
It's a long process. We became a yellow ribbon community back in like 2010. And it took a lot of work for us to become a yellow ribbon community.
And
We,
so,
we got the designation about that same time, in connection with Bayport and Park Heights.
Okay.
And those two kind of just didn't have the longevity that yours does.
Right, right. We are a very small but mighty group of volunteers. We started with probably 12. We've lost 4 members, 2 to death, and we're about at 8 now.
so who is the keeper of the list of who's a yellow ribbon community? Is that the National Guard that keeps that list and maintains that designation for you, or?
Well, I
who
mean,
does
you would have, we have signs all across down 95 or County Road 18 that we are a yellow ribbon community. I don't know if,
It's through the state VA or the state guard,
Right.
family assistance program.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
So do we know if the town is still designated?
I got the document.
Okay. Because, Mr. Chair, if that's the case, then I think then you have a legitimate basis to distinguish this activity
Okay.
from, I want to advertise my party or,
Right.
whatever.
Alice transmission.
Yeah.
It's on the street.
So, I mean, I think if that's the case, I mean, that does create a town-based tie that this is part of your
Okay.
activities as a town.
All right. So you'll both aver and swear to the fact that we are a yellow ribbon community still. Okay,
I don't think they revoke it, so once you get it.
all right.
oh, thank you,
Oh, we do?
Oh, yeah, we
thank
do.
you.
Okay.
Well, then you've already crossed that Rubicon.
All right.
then.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will move that we allow you folks to park your truck there for whatever this is, 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Okay.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no? Okay. Park your trailer.
Thank you very much. And it's a great event, great cause in memory of a great guy. So I would love to have all of you attend.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for your presentation, appreciate it. Is there any other, old or new business? You get something?
Yes.
Yep.
Couple things. I got a couple notices to be aware of confined spaces. That's like a septic tank. Children die in those because tanks are getting old. The cover, due to hydrogen sulfide, the covers are corroding and they walk across them and down they go.
You're talking about the concrete cover on a septic tank?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good thing to be
Yeah.
aware of. I thought that would be solid. Not
They're
necessarily.
supposed to be solid. They last quite a few years, but we've got systems in our town that are very old that need attention. And we lose about 100 people a year in the US due to confined space death. One country, they don't have any standards like we have. They lose about 25,000 people a year. Let's see, I had something else. Oh, the King plant, that might be closing in 2028. And I think about Texas a couple years ago, how things froze up there. They say they're going to replace the King plant with renewable sources, but that makes me nervous. I don't know if we should support or do, or if there's anything we could do.
Regarding what? Regarding the retiring the
Yeah.
kingdom?
I don't think there's much we can do, but maybe buy a generator.
Which I've already done, so.
Okay, you're prepared.
Yeah, I'm prepared. Anything else?
Nope.
All right, thank you very much, John. Anybody else? You got anything? All right, so if we, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yes, okay, yes. Marion is going to grace us with a report on the 75th anniversary
75th
celebration that
anniversary
we had this summer, a smashing success, and you are here to bask in that glory.
Me and the committee.
And the committee.
I'll
Okay.
take all the basking, but the committee was what we, everybody on the committee was fantastic.
Thanks for raising your hand, my guy, yeah.
Well, you told me that
Yeah,
I
I
should
did,
remind you in
I
case you
did, and
forgot,
I just, yeah.
So, basically, I'm here representing the event committee, and I wanted to give sort of an after-event summary of our 75th anniversary event. I'll just kind of go through some of the main categories and recap what our event was. We had planned originally at around 1,500 people for the event, and speaking with Gordon Meats, who catered our event, we served probably 1,300 to 1,400 people. So I think, in spite of our uncertainty as to the numbers, I think we came awfully close, and it was quite the turnout. So we were actually very, very happy with the turnout. We ran out of hot dogs. We only had a very minimal amount of pork left and some brats left. So, we actually did really well in terms of food quantities. Overall, we ran out of cake, we ran out of cookies, we ran out of Johnny Pops, we ran out of Freezies, and we only had, out of 8 3-gallon containers of ice cream, we only had about a half of a container left of chocolate ice cream, and that was it. So we went through a lot of food, and that was, so we felt very good about that. We'd had really positive comments about the band, and the band was extremely happy to have been at our event. And I got notes from the band member who is a resident, Brad, and he said the band really enjoyed themselves and that they were really honored that we had picked them to do that. So they really enjoyed it. So as far as activity goes, the variety of activities we had were really appreciated. I thought the car show went over extremely well. We had lots of vehicles. The canine demonstration was a hit. The fire truck and the little hats for the kids went over well. We actually had a young person, Liam, who was a neighbor of Mark Badavas, who joined our committee. And he helped us on input for games for the kids and what kind of prizes. So he's going to become a standing member of our event committee. And he was really fun to work with, too. So we did have a raffle, as you know. We had 53 items that were raffled off, and all these items were donated. And so most of these, you didn't have to be present to win, and most of them had to be delivered because most people weren't there at the bitter end when we went through that. But there was a lot of interest in the history, and we had requests for the extra copies of the history booklets, and we are still in the process of distributing those. So we did an extra 20 copies of the history booklet, and people really enjoyed that part of it too. Just as a follow-up, we did send out thank you notes to all the donators to the raffle, and almost all of these donations came from either local residents or local businesses within a certain, circumference of our township. So we kept the theme very local, and that was our intent to do so. And then the committee is also very grateful to Steve and Mark and Carrie, who donated tents for us, so we had no cost for the tents. And Carrie even brought some foldable high-top tables, which I thought were a big hit, and people were standing around the high-top tables. And Mark donated a huge container for all the water that we had present. And he also, I forgot now. Oh, that's right. He got a trailer and he trailered in all of the tables and chairs, which he managed to procure without any cost to us from 3M. So it does pay to be a 3M'er at some point, you know. And of course, we had the best volunteers. Kelly Murray did an absolutely amazing job of organizing all of the volunteers, how many we needed, who was going to be greeters, who was going to be cake servers, who was going to do all that. So it was an amazing job done by her on a schedule. So, you know, that was really good. And it was amazing how at the end, how quickly with all the help that we had, we were able to tear everything down within about a half an hour. So it was really quite amazing. And the committee does really want to thank the board for their support too, and for the residents that actually approved us having that kind of.
We want to thank the committee for all their hard work.
Thank
tell
you. We were approved budget. Actually, Betsy, there is a file that I think Carrie might have sent you. That if you want to just pull up the last slide of that file, it's a cost summary. Did you have, I was having trouble. I'm not sure if it was my internet that was having trouble. I didn't get it to you. I did send it to you about 3 times from 2 different email addresses, and I thought it had sent, so I apologize. I will figure that out. I was having trouble with internet all day today, so. We actually spent $10,650. There might be a couple other expenses that are coming in afterwards, so it was in that range. But we did have contributions of about $3,900, so our total spend. Okay, well, there you go. So this is a rolling forecast here. So, you know, with all that considered, we were definitely around the 6,500 max kind of expenditure. So I think if you think that we fed like 1,300 to 1,400 people for, you know, $6,500, that's $5 or less per person, which I think is a pretty amazing feat that we were able to pull together. So the history committee, we've kind of talked about at our follow-up thing that there was a lot of interest in just continuing pulling together some of our history and some of our photos. And our committee kind of talked about maybe we should consider having sort of a history committee. And Steve Johnson is willing to sort of head that up. And it doesn't have to meet on any sort of a regular basis, but just something to continue to keep our community connected to our past and then our future, you know. So I don't know if that's something that like the event committee has sort of like formed itself, if we need to have any board approval to do this, what types of things need to happen, but are you guys okay if we continue to do this?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, if a group of people wants to get together and kind of compile township history, I mean, I don't even think you need our imprimatur. I think you can go ahead and do it, and I'd be glad you did, you know? It sounds like a good thing to do.
Okay, all right.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay,
No
any
objection.
questions?
No, how long do we have to wait before we do another one of these?
Well,
Another 75, or
every year, you know,
Mary did
we
not sign up for that.
it could be
wait,
like
give me a
years,
chance to recover from the last one here.
every 5 years, maybe, you know?
No. Every 5 years, if we want to do something bigger, obviously we have a budget for next year because that was approved this year for next year's, you know, national night out event, which should have been more like an ice cream social in the past. We'd have to just do more than what we did other than the anniversary event. We would have to get approval from the residents and moving forward, but whatever you guys think you want to do, you know, we just have to get the approval to spend that kind of money from the residents, because that will need to be done at the annual town meeting.
How much was the food, just if we wanted to escalate the ice cream social to something a little more hot dog and ice creamy?
What we spent on the food was around $5,200. That was the biggest portion of our budget, so to speak. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we could certainly look into that. I think our budget for next year, though, for the ice cream social kind of smaller event was around $1,500, wasn't it? Does anybody remember what that was? I don't have it handy, but it was around $1,500. So that's a big cry from, you know, 5,200 for the food only, but we could certainly look at that.
the challenges we have is I put $800 for because we don't have any potable water. So that was one of the things in the mandatory is like here and we have to, it's, you know, the recycling of, you know, there's a huge amount of like waste. We don't know how to get around that.
I think we.
But we did overbuy water anyway. I mean, we had,
Well, we do have some water left, I agree with
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah,
it's
right.
just kind of
BYOB.
a quandary for it about the water. We don't like buying all that plastic bottled water, and we don't like the fact we don't have potable water here. And that's another aspect of the town hall and, you know, I mean, I wish I could have a little. But I know that's something we haven't been real thrilled about, is dealing with. They got all the recycling cartons for us to put all empty water bottles in. Kind of a vicious cycle.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the ice cream social is a fun thing too. You know, we get the car show, that's free, you know. We
Yep.
can- We can do another one of those next year. Sounds like we've got a budget for that, maybe.
it was around 1,500 if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And so that, you know, and the other thing that we did spend some amount of money on was the advertising for the event. And we did like postcards and we did, you know, a lot of advertising for it. So those are the fairly high ticket items that we spent, you know. I think we ended up spending about $1,400 on advertising and postage and all that type of thing.
Well, it worked.
Banners.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right,
it's great.
it was.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, we can certainly, as a committee, come up with some plans to work within the confines of the 1,500 and then see what we come up with. So,
Okay. That sounds good. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Let's have public comments. Anybody have any public comment that they want to make? We have a 3-minute limit on that, so please step to the podium there and state your name and address for the record and hear from you.
Hi there, I am Jody Stevie. I live at 13717 Greenwood Trail, and I'm here about the roosters. We've lived, my husband and I have been at our home for like 31 years. So we have a very clear understanding about what it's like to be there without roosters and with roosters, especially this last 2 years. We can hear them through closed windows. Okay, we are living just east of them by about 4 or 5 acres in between their coop and our house. So we're like kitty corner. We hear them through our closed windows. We have a screened-in porch in the back. We have to turn the TV up because we can't hear the TV program because of the roosters. Something happened about 2 months ago. All of a sudden, roosters don't live forever. We think the 2 offenders, and that's literally what they were doing, is just going back and forth at each other. We didn't hear the chickens very much. So with you, which is great that you came by, but I think if you would have been there 4 months ago, you would have heard a totally different thing. So, and I know that when people buy chickens, when they're babies, they don't know if it's a male or female, but once they responsibly understand that it's a rooster, they're supposed to get rid of it in other cities and townships. So that's it.
I'm just curious about something. Do you think that because there were multiple roosters, they were sort of having this competition or something, or they
Yep.
were louder than one rooster? I mean, it wasn't just.
It sounded like they were battling each other
Yeah.
vocally.
Interesting. Okay. I wonder if there's something to the idea that multiple roosters are more of a problem because they're louder for some reason, because there's
And
more.
the chickens, it's sort of like a low hum. And even as, say, we can hear traffic from 94, depending on how the wind blows. But it's a temporary thing. Planes flying over, that's a temporary thing. Graduation party, whatever, temporary. The roosters, it's pretty constant. So.
Right. Thank you for your
Okay,
comment.
thank you.
Appreciate it.
Maybe you know, how many roosters do you know they have on the property? 20 roosters?
I don't know.
It has been that high.
Really?
15 at
Well, that's correct. Maybe a little
So-
out of hand.
Let's do this. Yeah, please. Yeah. Please.
The owner told me 17.
17.
Okay.
Based on one.
Sure.
Listen, my name's Kara Swenson. I live at 13699 Greenwood Trail North. I live across the street from the chicken processing plant, it seems. And yes, at one point his own admission was 17. Now, do you want to live next to 17 roosters? I don't. I live across the street. I stand in my front yard landscaping and I count how many seconds go between. Now, the roosters have different voices, so you can tell it's not just the same one. Besides that, his voice would get too tired. So every 5 to 7 seconds, it's and then it's so it's lots of different kinds and lots of whatever. And sometimes it's all the time, and sometimes there's a real lull. And there's the chicken noise too, but let's stick out with the roosters. Sometimes there is a lull. I'm not sure why. It's real mysterious because, frankly, I hear chicken noises that give me nightmares. Horrible, god awful. Sounds like the hen house is being raided by a dozen foxes and a couple coyotes. Everything's going to pieces in my neighborhood. My house is across the street. My windows are in back. I live in the back side. And then the people behind me, I know they can hear it because their kid is imitating the roosters. And then he goes, and that's fine. I'd rather hear the kid. But I'm telling you, we can hear it. And 17 roosters on 2.5 acres? Sorry, 2.5 acres is too small. There should be none on 2.5 acres. I'm sorry, 5 I can see. And it seems to me, I checked those ordinances and it seems to me, Stillwater Township, 5, you got to have 5 acres for
Right.
roosters. Baytown, 5 acres. And their lots are generally bigger than our little tiny 2.5 acre lots on Greenwood Trail. And I probably got the biggest lot on there. So there you have it. Any questions?
I don't have any, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, and I did want to mention, it seems like everybody's really concerned about the trucking and the milling noises and the granite noises or whatever. Nobody seems to even bat an eye at this. I'm here. I mean, I'm not lying. So you could probably take our words for it. Oh, and by the way, neighbors don't like to complain about other neighbors. This should not be up to us to go in. I don't have anything against these people except for that they're ruining the quality of life and our property values. We shouldn't have to gang up. It's your guys' job or the city's job to do something about this. If it takes 2 years, that's insanity. But we could certainly go about this in an orderly fashion.
Sure. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks. Anybody else like to comment? Anybody else? Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Casey Salata. I live at 1125 Paris Avenue North. I'm not here to talk about the roosters. I'm sorry. I do feel really bad about the noise because we have some noisy animals around my house. But I am actually here to talk about Amrise and the concerns about the gravel pit. We, as a community, did kind of stand up when they were trying to expand their trucking hours. And I feel like, you know, the community came together. We got what we wanted in keeping their trucking hours to a minimum. I'm just trying to understand kind of the decision that was made here tonight, because I was under the impression that we were going to be able to ask questions. Maybe, you know, that was incorrect. But as far as like what they're going to be allowed to do, are they going to, is there going to be like a formal hearing for them, or? Because I will say, like, I am very anti them expanding anything. I don't want the noise pollution. I don't want the light pollution. If they expand their operations, even if they don't expand trucking hours, that's more trucks. That's all we hear up and down Stagecoach during operating hours, and I don't want to hear any more. They tear up the roads, they tear up Stagecoach, they tear up 10th Street. So, like, I'm just hoping that we can shut that whole thing down.
Yeah. And I don't know if we can do that, but, and we certainly haven't approved any kind of an increase in their hours or anything like that. We haven't approved that. And all we invited them to do is proceed with their desire to have kind of an open house type thing and let neighbors come and take a look at the operation. That's all we did tonight.
Okay.
We didn't really take any official action. Now, if they're gonna change their CUP, would we have to have a public hearing on that to do that? I think we would, right?
Well, Mr. Chair, as I understand it, and I don't obviously have the background on all of these, but did the town actually issue a CUP, or is it the county CUP?
I think it's the county CUP.
Yeah, so then the town wouldn't be holding the hearing, it would be the county.
But there would be a hearing process.
Yes, anytime you amend a CUP, it has to go through a notice and a hearing process.
So we haven't taken any action. We're not planning any action at the moment. All we're doing is letting them have a
Like an open house, a show
kind of
and
an
tell.
open house, right? Kind of a show.
Does West Lakeland Township have control over certain parts of their operations, or is it only Washington County?
We get to set their hours.
Okay.
And I don't even know if we get to set their hours. We get, I thought it was 7 to 7, but
Yeah.
7 to 7. I think somewhere in this letter, I think he said it's 6 to 8, but I didn't think it was that that liberal. So I don't really know exactly, but I think what it really is that Washington County looks to us to object if you know, if we don't like this proposal, because it is Washington County's CUP. But we are the first stop, obviously, because we are the community that's affected, and Washington County wants to hear from us. So that's why they came to us.
Good. So if anything was to be decided, we would have like more time to talk to our neighbors, get questions, get answers.
I think
It's not-
so.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, you know, I think people who are really interested in this maybe should take them up on their offer. Not that that is necessarily representative of what will happen.
I don't think it is. I mean, I'd be more than happy to go there, but I don't think that that is representative of what it would be over a long period of time. And
Right.
so,
You know, I mean, right, once the camel's nose is in the tent or whatever, you know, the thing can change dramatically, and I think we all have to be cognizant of that, keep it front of mind and so on. So, I mean, you know, they want to make this pitch, that's fine. I don't want to muzzle anybody and tell them they can't, so
that'll be my
that's as far as
takeaway.
we've taken it.
Camel's nose in the tent.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
And I did look up their CUP, their operating hours are 7 a.m. to, excuse me, 7 p.m.
7 p.m., okay.
Mhm.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Technically, could the
It is
county
what you said,
adjust
but
their?
in his letter. Yeah, I think that's right. And of course, those can be, they can get a dispensation from that on a as-needed special needs basis. If they're redoing I-94, you know, they can ask for permission to, you know, operate longer hours, you know, during this week or whatever. And that kind of thing is often granted on an ad hoc basis, but not a carte blanche, you know, all the time. Please, yeah.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
With the next person is coming up, just quickly on that. My understanding is that the county looks to the town for comment. But I was asked the question, could the county make a decision that maybe the town isn't pleased with? Yes, you know, if they're the permitting authority on that, I do think that they give you weight
Yes.
in your comments, but ultimately it's their decision.
I think that's right.
Yeah, so.
Agree.
Have they gotten
Could
any?
you state your name and
Oh,
address for
sorry.
the record?
My name is Heidi Wolf. I live at 1258 Stagecoach Trail, so I'm directly across where they want to mine 24/7.
Okay.
Have they gotten any permission to go outside of hours recently?
Not that
No.
particular pit, no.
No? Okay. Yeah, I've heard really loud noises like late at night, early in the morning. And been real curious where that's coming from, more than the highway.
You know, I mean, you've got the Bryan Rock pit to the north of them. Could be that.
And
Could be there.
Tiller to the south.
Is that, which one's Tiller? The one
In the
by
southeast.
the golf course? Yeah, okay, so there's that. And the other thing is, I guess Lakeland maybe regulates their operation that's in Lakeland, which is crushing and their operations. And that's not in our town, so I don't know what happens there. You may be hearing noise. It'd be nice to kind of zero in on that and find out where that noise is coming from.
Yeah, like this morning at 12:30. This morning, really loud noise when I took my dog out, and I could hear some boop, 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 boop in there too. And then a couple of mornings, like 5 a.m., 4:30, 6, really loud right through my windows and stuff. And I don't know where that's coming from, but it's bad.
You know, I suppose if something like that happens, you should register a complaint. I'm not exactly sure with whom, but, you know, that kind of thing ought to be documented, I would think. So that you call the company, but
Yeah, I think they keep a record of that.
they'll keep a
They
record,
do.
won't they? Okay, yeah, so, yeah, call
And they
them.
have to tell us when we go and inspect what all the complaints.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, don't hold back. I mean, if there's an infraction, a record should be made of it. Otherwise, it appears that there's nobody complaining, you know?
Right.
Question about that, sorry. We've made complaints before and they have said, like, how can you prove it's our facility? How can you prove it's our trucks? It's like one of those situations where, well, how do you prove it? Like, you run around with a camera or you run around with a microphone?
I don't know. I guess I would just say, I'm registering a complaint and you can do with this complaint as you wish, but make sure there's a record kept of this. Because I'm registering a complaint that you were loud.
Okay, so anyway, as you know, my concerns are with a lot of things, the noise, dust, breathing in dust, air pollution, lights. So right now, you know, they're on the west side and they're gonna move towards Stagecoach. When I look at the map, like a Google map of the area, and I see the west side close to Lakeland, there's a big wide area of trees that's bordering them. They're not close to houses like they would be when they come to Stagecoach. It's just a,
Very true.
it's just a little narrow line of trees, that's it. And we're directly across the road.
They've got a long way to go before they get
Yeah.
to Stagecoach. When they do
Like
that.
today, my husband pointed out, I can see them mining right through the trees and hear them in the afternoon. But I don't want that 24/7. I mean, I want to be able to sleep.
Okay.
And then if it's against the law for there to be noise from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m., why would we let there be noise from, you know, from them
Mhm.
during that time period?
Sure.
And then, so I really think it should be just like the truck hours on Stagecoach, because it sounds it's going to be there just like the trucks, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, or whatever it is, 7 to 4. I think it should be the same barriers as it is for the trucks on Stagecoach when they come this way. And personally, I think that they should not go that far and have that buffer there, just like they have on the other side.
Okay. Thanks for your comments. Appreciate it. All right. Anything else? Oh, one more? Okay.
My name is Kelly Steester. I live at 1530 Overlook Trail. Thank you for listening to Amrise today. I thought that the discussion today was much better than last time. I appreciate your questions and comments. A couple things, and the general manager actually admitted when someone asked him, what other things have you invested in? He didn't have an answer for that. What other options have they looked at? Have they looked at additional equipment? Have they looked at, upgrading their equipment? What's their current constraint? He didn't seem to know. Of course, the easiest thing is to extend their hours, and that's been the capital investment to improve their operation. So I think the board needs to take a real strong look at that to see what other options are out there. And I agree to Mr. Bulow's point about the additional, if they're taking out more, extracting more material, there's going to be more trucks running up and down the road. That goes to noise, that goes to bad roads. We have bad roads already. So what's the advantage to the residents that live in West Lakeland?
Okay, thank you for your comments. All right, anything else? One more quick one, yep. No, go ahead.
The noise isn't from it's being surrounded by their property.
Brian Rock, yeah?
I've been in both quarries and it's just not from Brian Rock. The sounds that we hear every night, or we're not complaining about noise from every night, but just that any sound we hear, it's obvious that it's not Brian Rock, or would be farm equipment rented by, Josie Farms or whatever, that they presently rent to, or that Amory's presently rents to, Josie Farms. But, so the different sounds, it's definitely not Brian Rock.
Okay.
Just wanted to say
Thank
that.
you.
And, yep, in the 2-week, in the 2-week trial, would not be representative because it's far over the stagecoach.
Sure, got it. All right, anything else? If not, I appreciate all your comments, appreciate your coming. There will be further opportunities for input, and thank you for all your thoughtful comments on this, appreciate it. We have anything further? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. I'll second. Yeah, I'll make the motion, you can second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all for coming.